The events take place in New York in 1965. Young dancer Terry Giannoffrio is preparing for another performance. Too bad her mom is long gone. The dancers entertained the audience. Terry's technique was perfect, but during an unfortunate jump, she broke her ankle. Due to the pain, Terry was semi-conscious and didn't realize how she ended up on the operating table. Soon Terry was discharged from the hospital, but she still limps heavily. Painkillers are her only relief. Terry is currently living with her friend Annie Long. Ness Hogan, their third roommate, doesn't like that Terry isn't paying her share. In addition, she is constantly receiving late payments. In hopes of getting a job, Terry attends auditions but gets rejected everywhere. Her dance technique has suffered greatly due to her injured leg. Still, Terry refuses to give up and keeps attending auditions. Because of that fateful fall, she has gained a reputation as an unsuccessful dancer. In any case, Terry doesn't intend to surrender. She spent 6 years studying at a dance academy in Hazard, Nebraska. That's where her family lives, who run a slaughterhouse. All Terry needs now is just one chance. When she was asked to perform that same movement, she got nervous but did it. The producers asked her to do the jump over and over again. Terry's nervousness grew each time. Eventually she nearly twisted her ankle. Without even listening to her sing, the producers said they'd call. Moreover, director Alan Marchand humiliated Terry by asking her to impersonate an animal from the slaughterhouse. Terry is abusing painkillers, which worries Annie, who by the way keeps getting invitations to perform. Annie suggested her friend temporarily return to Nebraska, but Terry has no intention of doing so. She came to New York to dance and achieve success. Seeing Alan Marchand leave, Terry decided to follow him. She walked through the streets of the city, which eventually led her to an elite high-rise in Bramford. Terry lied to the concierge that Mr. Marchand was expecting her. Suddenly the girl felt very dizzy and hurried to leave the building. Outside, an elderly couple living here helped her. They took Terry to their apartment and put her to bed. Terry fell into a deep sleep, haunted by nightmares. When the girl awoke, she couldn't remember how she got here. The elderly couple, Minnie and Roman Castevet, kindly offered her breakfast. Terry refused the meat, explaining that she couldn't tolerate it after seeing how it was prepared on the farm. Terry vaguely remembers the previous day. Minnie and Roman told her they had found her on the roadside. While semi-conscious, she had mentioned Alan Marchand's name. The girl explained that she wanted to perform in his show. She also expressed gratitude to the elderly couple, noting that not everyone would have helped a stranger like they did. Minnie said they were happy to have guests in their home. The woman immediately guessed that their new acquaintance was an artist. While helping Minnie wash the dishes, Terry shared that she injured her leg 4 months ago during a dance. Minnie said that our falls don't define us. The couple showed Terry the guest room, offering her to stay in their home completely free of charge. Minnie and Roman don't have children, so they would be happy to have some company. According to Roman, before Terry another girl had lived with them, who had run away from her abusive boyfriend. They help anyone in need. Terry was confused by such a sudden offer, but agreed and packed her things. Annie thought it was a bad idea since Terry didn't really know these people. But the girl remained optimistic, believing they were just lonely old folks wanting to save someone. Terry anticipates his new life in a spacious apartment. While unpacking her things, she found a shoe belonging to a certain Joan Chabalski. Minnie brought Terry a small gift, a potted flower. Terry showed the woman Joan's shoe. Minnie said Joan had left in a hurry, and threw the shoe away. Today the Castevets are going out to dinner but not at home, and they invite Terry to join them. The girl thought it was a good opportunity to get closer to Mr. Marchand. She put on makeup and took a lot of analgesics. Despite the pain in her leg, Terry put on high-heeled shoes. In the evening, she arrived at Mr. Marchand's apartment, where he told her that the Castevets wouldn't be able to attend because they had another event that night. Terry was slightly embarrassed but stayed. It turned out that Roman was Alan's benefactor, but that wasn't why he invited Terry. In truth, Alan was driven by curiosity. He also couldn't help but admire Terry's persistence. They discussed the upcoming musical that Alan was directing. A lot of money was invested, so Alan was looking for the best dancers. He was curious about what could make Terry stand out from the thousands of other performers. Terry decided to share her sad story. Her mother had long passed away due to a tragic accident on the farm. After that, her father was devastated. Dance became Terry's only salvation. It allowed her to forget all the bad things in the world. Alan wasn't ready to give a clear answer yet, and he proposed a toast. After a few sips, Terry felt unwell. Either she couldn't handle alcohol, or it was the effect of the painkillers. Terry assured him that she was fine, but her walk was too unsteady. When Alan put on a record, Terry began to hallucinate, imagining herself as the star of a dance show. But then the vivid fantasies turned into a nightmare. Terry saw a creepy creature approaching her. She woke up in bed at Alan's house. He brought her breakfast. Terry remembered little, but Alan said he had a good time the night before. What had really happened between them? Terry was shocked when she learned she had gotten a role in the musical. The time for grueling rehearsals began. During a break, Terry noticed a bruise on her wrist. The lead dancer Vella Clark mocked Terry, calling her the girl who fell. In the restroom, Terry tried to pull herself together. She really didn't remember what had happened. In the evening, Minnie introduced Terry to their elderly neighbor, Lily Gardenia. She was the first female judge in the state of New York. Mrs. Gardenia offered Terry a healing ointment that would speed up the recovery of her leg. Terry is still haunted by nightmares. It feels like something or someone is living inside her. Waking up from another nightmare, Terry started dancing right in her room without any painkillers, and she succeeded. At rehearsal, she demonstrated an excellent result. Today the dancers received their first paycheck. Rehearsals continued. Soon Minnie and Roman organized a Christmas costume party. Annie was also invited as Terry's friend. Terry had become a recognizable figure in high society. Dr. Sayerstein, a well-known obstetrician, gave the girl his calling card. Terry politely said that she probably wouldn't need it anytime soon. Many of the Castevet's friends were quite extraordinary personalities. Terry overheard Minnie and Mrs. Gardenia arguing about something in the kitchen. The couple presented Terry with a Christmas gift, a fur coat and a medallion over 300 years old, which supposedly brings good luck. Terry had never received such expensive gifts before. The entire evening Terry and Annie sang, danced and drank. In short, they had fun. Terry didn't forget about her best friend and had prepared a gift for her, a beautiful silk scarf. Annie is the closest person in Terry's life, who has stayed by her side no matter what. Suddenly she saw black hands grabbing her in the mirror, and screamed. It was probably just her imagination. The next morning Terry felt nauseous. During rehearsal she noticed that her belly had grown. Terry went to Dr. Sayerstein and found out that she was pregnant. Annie was the first person she told. Alan is the father of the child, but Terry doesn't want to tell him, fearing that this would mean the end of her dancing career. Vera overheard the girls talking in the locker room and made a sarcastic joke. Unable to hold back, Terry pushed her. Of course she wasn't planning to keep the pregnancy and was thinking about how to solve the problem without going to a doctor. But every time sharp pains in her abdomen stopped her. Moreover, objects around Terry started moving by themselves. She saw and heard things that weren't there. Many girls in the dance troupe continued to mock Terry. This time Alan stood up for her. Terry realized that he was aware of her pregnancy. What surprised her was his calm reaction. Alan acted as if he was happy about it. Now he wanted Terry to give 100% on stage. Minnie and Roman already knew everything too. In fact, they were the ones who told Alan. The couple expressed their willingness to help Terry and planned to accompany her to Dr. Sayerstein's appointment tomorrow. Terry declared that she wasn't ready to raise a child. Right now the girl just wanted to be alone. But Minnie and Roman seemed not to hear Terry and showed her the nursery in their house. For years, the couple had tried to have a child but failed, so they would be happy to adopt Terry's son or daughter. It was a difficult decision, so she needed time to think. Minnie and Roman assured that in exchange, they would give her anything she wanted. All Terry wants is to perform on stage, but in the world of show business, everything is tied to influential connections. And the Castevets could help Terry with that. They took her silence as a sign of agreement. In her sleep Terry tossed and turned, haunted by nightmares again. She was awakened by a creaking sound. When she turned on the light, Terry saw Mrs. Gardenia standing before her, saying she had to stop this. After these words the elderly woman attacked Terry. The girl managed to lock herself in. A few minutes later she heard wheezing and opened the door. Mrs. Gardenia couldn't breathe. Soon she was taken away by ambulance. The next morning, the Castevets informed Terry that Mrs. Gardenia had fallen into a coma. The girl was sure there was something wrong with the elderly woman. She must have entered the apartment through an unlocked door. The couple said that Mrs. Gardenia simply suffered from senile dementia. They didn't seem particularly concerned about the unfortunate woman's fate. Terry realized something was wrong in this house. In one of the rooms she found a book about rituals. Hearing footsteps the girl hurried to leave. Rehearsals continued. Suddenly Vera felt a pain in her leg. In the next moment her body began to undergo terrifying metamorphosis. Thus Vera, the lead soloist, ended up in the hospital, and Alan decided to give the role to Terry. She agreed without hesitation. Minnie cut Terry's hair like her mother's picture. Terry had mixed emotions, knowing that Vera might never be able to walk. Minnie advised Terry to take advantage of this opportunity. Not everyone gets so lucky. Terry realized Minnie was right. Seeing her name on the theater's marquee, the girl felt proud. She has been going for it all her life. The dress rehearsal before the premiere took place. Terry's technique was almost perfect. Later, while removing her makeup in the dressing room, Terry heard voices and closed the door. Suddenly she felt abdominal pains again, which clearly weren't normal. At one point it seemed to Terry that her belly was growing rapidly, but it was just a vision. At home, Terry called Dr. Sayerstein, telling him about her strange symptoms. The doctor assured her that it was normal for the first trimester. Terry kept insisting that something was wrong with her or the baby. Dr. Sayerstein advised her to see a psychiatrist. But Terry didn't like that idea and hung up. She decided to look through that ritual book again. On one of the pages, she saw a medallion identical to the one the Castevets had given her. There was a knock on the door. It was Minnie, there to invite Terry to dinner. The girl nervously replied that she wasn't hungry. Looking through the peephole, she saw Minnie's creepy smile. Terry was determined to find out what happened to Joan Chabolsky, whom the Castevets had also taken in earlier. Hastily packing her things and removing the medallion, Terry quietly left this eerie house. Later, Terry found Joan Chabolsky's name in the directory and asked Toby, the concierge, about the girl. The man replied that Joan had left 6 months ago without even taking her belongings, which were still stored in the closet. Among them Terry found a cross that left a burn on her palm. The girl decided to visit a church, where she immediately felt unwell. But Terry overcame it and started to pray when suddenly she was interrupted by a nun who asked if everything was all right. Terry showed her the book she had found in the house at Bramford. The nun advised the girl to stay away from that place because it was rumored to be inhabited by sectarians. Looking at Joan's photograph, the nun said that this girl had also come to the church to confess her sins, but she wasn't the one who had sinned. Eventually the poor girl fled the house at Bramford and was hit by a bus. The main goal of those people was to bring the Antichrist into this world. Realizing that Terry was pregnant, the nun fell to her knees and began to pray. Terry, accompanied by her best friend, immediately went to an underground clinic to solve the problem. The girl was very scared, but Annie's presence comforted her a little. When the doctor began the procedure, Terry screamed and pushed her away. In the next second the doctor had a terrifying seizure. Terry rushed to leave, Annie followed her. Terry revealed that there was evil living inside her. Annie promised that no matter what, they would get through it together. But Terry knew that Annie couldn't help her, and after hugging the friend, she left alone. Returning to the house at Bramford, Terry noticed Minnie in the elevator. The girl followed her into the basement, which led her to a room resembling an auditorium with a stage. Here, Terry saw ritualistic items. Alan came in, surprised that Terry didn't remember anything at all. Terry realized that she had been subjected to a ritual here. Alan explained that they had tried many times, and only Terry was the right candidate. It was a true miracle. According to Alan, Terry's place had always been in the darkness. Suddenly she inflicted a wound on Alan, and he fell right in the middle of the ritual circle. Seeing the image of a demon before her, Terry ran, but the concierge locked the door in front of her. The only place Terry could hide now was that apartment. Inside Terry heard music. Minnie and Roman were already waiting for her. Terry declared that she knew who they really were. Minnie reminded her of their agreement. Terry would get everything she wanted in exchange for the child. The girl declared that she refused, but unknown forces prevented her from harming herself. Feeling pain, Terry fell down with a scream. Roman didn't believe they were evil, they simply worshipped another god. The cult members were searching for a vessel to bring the Antichrist into the human world. Of course the real father of the child wasn't Alan but the fallen angel himself. Minnie and Roman began convincing Terry that from now on, they were her family. Roman extended his hand to her. Terry had no choice but to give him her hand in return. The couple led Terry into an improvised sanctuary. The cult members already gathered here began to applaud. Minnie placed the medallion back around Terry's neck. Everyone present started to praise her. Terry accepted a glass of drink, signaling that she was one of them. At this moment, Terry was the star of the party and danced a provocative dance in front of the guests. Hugging Minnie, Terry whispered that this was truly the starring role in her life. In the next moment Terry approached the window. No one present had time to react. The fall was fatal for Terry. The police arrived at the scene of the incident, and a large crowd gathered. Minnie and Roman knew they had to continue. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel not to miss more exciting new products. Also, the authors will be pleased if you leave your opinion in the comments.